Heyo people, Crash Thompson here, and welcome to this review of the latest from Sleep Token, Take Me Back to Eden. So longtime watchers of my channel will know that I actually have a bit of a history with this band, and it isn't a great one. See, I tackled their debut record Sundowning back in 2019 on a Femi somewhere. It's on one of those Femmies. I don't feel like digging up the footage. I wasn't a huge fan of the electronica and specifically the trap elements that they were kind of implementing. And this was also 2019 when so many rock bands were just trying to emulate Imagine Dragons. Like, remember when the Imagine Dragon was running wild and every motherfucker had to put out their own version of an Imagine Dragons album? Fucking Papa Roach made an Imagine Dragons record. Like, I'm just saying, those were dark times. You know, and I heard this band experimenting with a lot of droney, kind of half-baked sort of synth elements and trap snares and all of this other stuff that was really getting overplayed. I was, maybe a teensy bit hostile in that review, but I also was upset because this band was not sold to me, or a lot of people initially, as, you know, a kind of droney, atmospheric, experimental, heavy adjacent band. Back in their earlier days, I do remember a lot of people talking about them in just heavy music terms, and sure, I guess you could call what Sleep Token does metal in at least some respects, but Sleep Token, and this record especially, are just doing so much more than just metal. There are those vicious, heavy, thick as hell metal moments on it, like with Vore, for example. Hell, half of that song is just probably some of the heaviest stuff this band has ever made. Like, the verses on that song are just pure screeching death metal almost, just but there's also stuff like the jazzy breakdown at the end of The Summoning. Hell, The Summoning as a whole, that song structurally is just a fucking kaleidoscope of different things going on. Ascensionism also has a lot of those trap and drone tinges that this band has loved to play around with since the beginning, but on this album, I'd argue they've gotten much better at creating interesting sounds and actually making a coherent and kind of actually appealing soundscape with those elements, and B, the production has just gotten so much better, like absolute jump in production quality. The mixing and production on this record is godlike. This thing just sounds like absolute heaven. My home setup, my pro headphones, my shitty $20 earbuds I got at a gas station, it sounds gorgeous across everything. It looks like Sleep Token actually mixed it themselves. Vessel 1 is just what the lead singer likes to go by, and I'm not familiar with Carl Bown, but whoever the hell this team is, they did an excellent job. The composition on this thing is absolutely fantastic too. These guys were obviously trying to make an album that evoked a lot of emotion. The way the ultra light and clean and airy guitars and the light tinkling pianos and stuff like Are You Really Okay or Elucid are so gentle and serene and so effectively soothing when they want to bring the moment down. But I also love those weird kind of in-between moments, like Do You Wish That You Loved Me? I know that song is an acronym, but I'm not saying all of that. I loved that weird marimba-ass synth tone that carries most of the song. This doopy-ass little synth tone, that is another thing I really enjoyed about this record. How much air and space the instruments have. It works so well because that intro kind of leads you into something, but then they add more pieces to it. They gradually let the sound sort of climb and climax, and a lot of songs are written like this. Elucid is another great example where it's just the piano. They bring everything in more gradually, and again, those moments where they want to build on the record, the moment where they want those emotional highs to really resonate. They know how to bring in all of the extra pieces and stack them on top of each other until it's just an absolute avalanche of feeling and sonic bliss. But I guess part of the problem too is What do you call this? It's a little bit heavy, but it's a little bit jazzy. It's ultra atmospheric. It's electronic. There are awesome trap beats and cool little hip hop elements. There is a full-blown rap verse on this record. But with all that going on, what the hell do you call this? I don't have an answer to that, but I can give you my closest approximation. If you held a gun to my head and said, summarize Sleep Token in one sentence, this is prog music for people who fuck. Seriously, the playful, very daring song construction and the way the album, both sonically and lyrically, is going for this kind of seductive, alluring, tempting, very sort of down bad vibe. Look, if you don't spend all day on Reddit, you know exactly what this fucking album is talking about. Nobody writes a song called Vore if they don't know exactly what they're talking about. Crash, it's a metaphor. Are you sure about that? Maybe a metaphor. Ha! Again, I've been kind of dancing around it, but it is so hard to find a metal adjacent whatever, a heavy record that can capture a mood this just outright sexy, like genuinely sexy, without coming off as like skeezy or weird and awkward or just fucking lame. Again, I just love everything that this album is doing, and this album is doing a lot in terms of lyrical theme, in terms of composition, in terms of structure and production. Like, there's so much going on. There's metal, there's jazz, there's drone, there's prog, there's post-rock, there's even pop and R&B and trap and hip-hop and all of this. All of these very different elements are brought under one umbrella to create this absolutely blissful, soothing, relaxing journey. But not like too relaxing, you know what I mean? If I have major complaints about the record, well, I have to admit, the lead singer's voice probably will take a bit of getting used to. I mean, he's extremely talented as a vocalist, don't get me wrong. He has a very decent range, and again, this dude is even spitting hip-hop bars when he wants to. But he's got an interesting inflection. I don't know, the guy just has kind of a weird enunciation. Like, the way he pronounces certain vowels and words is very off. Even back in the day, it took me a while to get used to the way this guy sort of sings and pronounces things, so that could be a detriment. And again, if you walk into this record with the wrong mindset, I could absolutely see folks bouncing right off of this like I did when I first had to tackle this band. Like, yes, it's being talked about in metal circles, and it's being treated like a metal record by a lot of outlets, but do not walk into this expecting a typical metal record. Realize it is so much more than that, and temper your expectations accordingly. And on that same token, if you're not into stuff that is very densely structured, or that is very left turn, very not what you would have expected, I don't know, if you're just looking for something to go blah blah at you for 60 minutes, this ain't that record. But even to those folks, I would say just leave your expectations at the door for this one. Walk into it with a very open mind, and if you do, I bet even you will be able to appreciate everything this album is doing, and you will find yourself sinking into the mood very quickly. It is extremely effective at the stuff it's trying to do. I mean, if you can't already tell, yeah, this record absolutely won me over. I think I'm officially on the Sleep Token bandwagon now. This record was so good, it actually convinced me to go back and listen to Sundowning again and realize, yeah, I was being too hard on that record. But again, I didn't get it. Sundowning wasn't the record that made me get Sleep Token. This one is. This record absolutely was where things clicked. I understood what they were going for. I got everything that they were doing. And again, all of the elements are lined up. Their production is finally great. Their songwriting is at that apex level where it needs to be. Everything is firing on all cylinders for this one, and I'd say this band has finally reached that point where their fans have always said they were. They are officially as good as you've heard with this record. I love this damn thing. I mean, you want to know how deep this redemption arc goes? This is not the chroma card. I bought this motherfucker. Hey! All that having been said, I feel extremely comfortable giving this album a light to solid 9. Y'all, this is that record. This is that record. Honestly, very strong candidate for Album of the Year in my books. It's got its heavy foundation finally nailed. It goes into strange and twisted new territory. The production is great. The composition is wonderful. All of the performances are fantastic. Remember last review when I said my most improved award has to go to Jack Harlow? Motherfucker already lost that title. Good on you, Sleep Token. And that's the review. What did you think of Take Me Back to Eden? Were you feeling its twisted, lulling, heavy, crazy, erotic, fucking weird as hell vibe? Or did someone tell you this was a metal record too and you bounced off of it? No shame. I was the original motherfucker to do that. Hey, I won't judge. However you ended up feeling about this thing, let me know in the comments below. Just a bit of a heads up, I may disappear for a little bit after this review. I've got a lot going on in the upcoming weeks. I'm going to be at Boston Calling later this week, and I'm also in final edits for the new full-length vid, the best Curse of the Best New Artists 95 to 99, that video that I've been working on, that's in final edits. We're getting close to finished on that one. Again, stay tuned for that. But if I'm a little quiet in the upcoming weeks, that's going to be the big reason why. So stay tuned, stay patient. I promise I'm out here, and I promise more stuff is dropping soon. In the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. I'm Crash Thompson. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see ya when I see ya.